All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to welcome y'all to another episode of the Day Late Dollar Short podcast. As always, it's your boy Martin.
And Marlon.
And your girl BK. And today we have a special guest. We have rap artist Kassius Brikkz here. So go ahead and introduce yourself.
What's up, man? Kassius Brikkz all the way from Brooklyn, New York, man. I'm here. What's good, y'all?
Man, look, happy to have you on. Definitely.
Our first rap artist on the podcast.
I know, man. This is
Word?
Yeah, first one.
First one.
Oh,
We've had a number of firsts: NFL agents, photographers, artists, entrepreneurs. You're the first, musician, rap artist. You're covering a lot of categories right now. So
from out of town too, like New York. That's what's up, man.
Right.
Brooklyn.
Where snow's at? It don't snow down here. It snows up there.
Where it snows at?
It doesn't snow. But it was cold this week, y'all.
Yeah, it was a little bit. And got a little windy.
A little chilly.
That's how it be sometimes in New Orleans. How's it in New York? Is it cold up there right now?
It's like, I don't know, like it's so bipolar. Like the weather.
It's New Orleans, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy over here too. Some days it's cold, some days it's sunny and windy, all types of shit. So
sounds like here. Bipolar weather.
Yeah.
Facts.
Never know what to wear.
You never know.
Look, snow boots and a fur coat and some shorts.
Wow.
That sounds like something I would wear though.
Yeah, look, all day long.
That's something I would wear.
Some rain boots, a fur coat, and some shorts. You be straight.
What is happening? I don't understand.
I will wear that. Well, we're going to jump right into the interview. So you already said that you was from Brooklyn. What part of Brooklyn are you from?
I'm from Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn, same area as Big Jay-Z,
Okay.
Home of the greats.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very strong part of Brooklyn to be from,
It's
Right.
very historic. Like you mentioned Biggie, you mentioned Jay-Z, but just historically, that's like a very, that's a part of New York where there's a lot of history, a lot of Black history. A lot of people have come from there to do a lot of different things in a lot of different communities around the world. Like they got their start there and they've moved on from that, which is, it's inspiring.
Right. Definitely is. And I'm trying to, be the next one,
Hey, man,
there you go, brother. There you go.
So how did you, since you want to be the next one, you have the potential, how did you get into music? Like, what's your interest in music?
My interests. I just, when I started off, I was just a student of the game. I was just listening to music, and when you were a kid and you were saying your favorite songs, your favorite raps and shit like that. So that's how I started. And then I was like, I see all the, it's a lot of money in the industry back then. Back then it was, and it was easier, a little easier back then. And then I was just like, I'm gonna try to write on my own, and it worked out over the years, just practicing and, positive feedback from other people. And, people learn to love it.
Nice.
That's what's up, man. So how long does it take to record a song? Actually, make a song.
Oh, I mean, it's writing and then taking it to the studio. So, like, which one? Like, writing it?
I guess more like just the whole package. So when you write a song, like how long will it take? Maybe like 20 minutes, 25 minutes? Or I don't know. I'm asking. I don't know.
Bro, this ain't school.
I don't know.
Writing a paragraph was
I know. I'm like,
I don't know.
Hot 16 boys.
I don't know. I'm asking.
I don't know. Like, certain people, when it comes to writing it, some of them, they like to drink or smoke before they write.
Mm-hmm.
I don't do that. I can't do it because I'll just be mentally fucked up. But I like to be sober when I write. And it takes me a while. Like, it might take me a day or two because I'm a perfectionist. I don't like to, like, just throw anything out there or, like, come up with a gimmick record.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to really pen my shit. So, and then once I get to the studio, I'll probably knock one song out. I'll say, like, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah. So
nice. Good to know.
Thank you.
You want to the studio, Marlon?
Trying to play me. I don't know, but I'm asking.
That's a good question, though.
Thank you, brother. See, man, look, trying to play, man. You know what?
Look, man. I have a friend of mine. She's a poet, and we always talk about the writing process.
Yeah.
And she's a perfectionist too. And it's like I've written poems before, and I've written some stuff before, stories and articles, and gotten a few things published. But I know just for me, like I can't just sit down and write something in an hour or two and be like, all right, I'm gonna go send this in. Like it don't work like
right.
that.
Exactly. That I'm the same way. Like I can't. I got to make sure everything is, and when you hear it, you feel the same way. So.
Do you read over a lot of your stuff? Do you go? My biggest enemy a lot of times, if I'm writing something, is I'm gonna read over it and then I start criticizing myself before I'm even gonna finish it.
I do that too.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely.
So you said, when I asked you like what sparked your interest, you said it came from like just singing and rapping songs. Who are your favorite artists? Like who songs were you rapping that inspired you to say, you know what, let me give this a shot?
Okay, so I would say like I was around 8 years old when I started like listening to rap and hip hop. So around that time, it was I was into Ludacris, Eminem. Who else was out at that time? Like around that time, was a lot of like Midwest down south taking over the radio, even in New York. So it was a lot of Luda, M, Detroit, Atlanta. I was listening to Snoop a little bit. Then I had to like take my time and do my homework on the people from where I'm from, like Biggie. I had to go back and listen to albums, and it's like, teach myself his music as well. So those are my influences so far, growing up and trying to be like them or sound like them,
What's up, man?
So, and I was around when?
I would say, well, I started taking music serious, I would say 2009.
Okay.
So like probably a couple of years before that, I really was just listening but like 09 is when I like I'm gonna sit down and take this serious and put out a project and
see what happens.
See what happens, do talent shows and all that shit. So.
Hey, that's what's up, man. I know that's how a lot of people got started in it. You take the leap. I think the biggest thing, especially when you're following something you love like that, is taking that first step.
Right, definitely.
That first step, I call it first step fear. That paralyzes most people. They never do it. That's the first step.
You gotta take that step, and then after that, going up.
So being from New York, like that's like the hip hop, the mecca of hip hop, like hip hop. Right. Do you think like you being from there is an advantage getting into music, or do you think like now with all this talent and everything going on, it'll make it a little harder?
I think it's a little harder because, it's hard to get, pop in New York. And if you do pop in New York, then you the man. But like, I think Atlanta right now is the place, because it's so easy to pop out there from what I've been seeing over the years. And I think not even just Atlanta, but like in the South period, like it's a little easier, like it's more support, But people say, I've been seeing like over the years, people say, oh, we need to support this and support that, but like the New York support is hard to get. Like it's real tough.
It seems, just like from the outside looking in, it seems critical because when you have people, when you drop names like, Jay-Z, Biggie, just off the top of the head, when you think New York, that's kind of who you think of.
Right. And you're from there too, so it's probably like bigger shoes to fill.
Right.
It is. It definitely is.
You talk about all the rappers that have come from there. I feel like the criticism would be higher.
Yeah, definitely is.
And if you talk about the South, like, I think the South, because it was the East Coast, West Coast thing for the longest time.
Yeah.
That was literally all of that.
It's
and then we kind of found our niche and just started doing our own stuff, music. Right. And it was just like, oh, somebody putting out something. All right, let's hear it, whatever it is. Some people got high. We had Cash Money and No Limit back in the day.
Right.
Oh wow.
Hey man, look, I had that No Limit windbreaker, bro. That was.
I forgot all about that shit,
Hey,
man.
bro. You had the No Limit Soldiers and the Cash Money Records windbreakers, bro. Them things was hot. I wish I could get my hands on one of them.
Oh, stop it.
Bro, tell you.
Yes, that's terrible. But I mean, you saying that it's a lot of support in the South. You ever considered moving down to the South to kind of help promote your music?
Yeah, like recently I have, because I have family, like, in Virginia. I don't know how deep South that is, but it's still kind of close to New York. But yeah, I recently thought about it. I would give it a try.
Okay.
And I'm glad you brought that up, Marlon. When I was managing an artist, one of my former students, super talented. I, not coming from any like background in music or in a sense of being with a label or starting a label, but marketing to get him out, it was a little bit easier than I thought. So all you have to do is like, look, let me holler at you. You got a club. Look, I got this artist that and get it popping. Like it was easy, and before he got incarcerated, he was blowing up in the city. Like people was like, oh, Josh 9.
Yeah.
And then I think people was also like interested in him because he was young. Like at the time he was like 17, 18. And like when you heard his music, you're like, he's 17? I'm like, yeah, like he wrote that shit when he was like 15. So that like sparked interest. And I always thought like, look, it might be easier if he moved somewhere to like the West Coast or New York. Yeah. But since you mentioned it, it did appear easier to kind of like get him on and get him known here.
Right. And the whole thing with New York is like, if you're doing something dope and somebody see that it works for you, they're going to try to do it too. So it's
a lot of copycats.
Yeah, it's like if you rapping and you selling hats, somebody gonna start doing the same shit.
Same here. I had so many students. Oh, Miss Brooklyn, I rap too, and I'm like, go sit your lame ass down. I heard your shit. That was cool. We're gonna find you something else to do. Rapping is not your thing.
Oh my gosh, that's cool. So like it's straight shit. Like, I don't want to hear no more.
Like we're gonna find you something else. You could be like a producer or something, but we're not putting you.
I mean, at least you're honest about it though. Like if you got hopes and dreams, like I can do it. I really like.
And then they were high school students, so I didn't want them thinking like, oh yeah, I'm about to be a rapper when I'm graduating. I'm like, nah, little nigga, go to college.
At least you put 100 with them.
I know, right? And call them little nigga at the same time.
Why you call them little niggas? I'm like, nigga, if you don't sit down,
your shit whack. Like, stop.
Nigga, you worry about rapping. Where's your homework?
We need people like you tell the truth.
That's tough though, man. That's tough.
Well, look, in the world we live in, mumble rap, the catchy rap, so the like I call it trendy rap because it's not really like it's a style in the sense that it's trendy. It's something everything everyone's doing.
Right.
Like when T-Pain started with the auto-tune, people have used the auto-tune before, but nobody did it. T-Pain did it. And then you have all these artists coming out and everybody had an auto-tune record.
Everybody
this is like, God, T-Pain was actually an artist, like he could actually sing and he could actually do all those things, and the auto-tune just differentiated him from it.
Right.
So, how do you feel about that as an artist? Like, you look at that and you trying to be yourself in the music world, and it's like, would it be easier to just kind of follow the trend and make some money and
I've done like 2 records like that, like commercial records, like following a trend, and I would say just to get my foot in the door, and then once you're in the door, you can do what the fuck you want to do and just shock people. So and then like when I was growing up, like the Southern music I was listening to, it was Jeezy, it was Wayne, it was T.I., it was Luda. They was lyricists. Like when they came out, I was like, oh shit, these people are from the South and they dope. They're not like another dance group or shit like that. So they was dope. That's what I grew up on.
Y'all, I lost my questions. I accidentally deleted them.
What happened?
You lost your questions.
The thing I text them to y'all. I
got
accidentally
it.
deleted them.
Cool.
You
So,
got them too? Okay.
looking at this, I noticed one thing, and it's a trend that you have with a lot of music, your photography. You're real big into the BBW movement. You got them everywhere, right? And I ain't mad at you.
Don't discriminate. Don't discriminate, brother.
It's all of those things, and it's like, how do you? What made you decide to go that route? And then what was like, this is what I want to do. This is how I want to do it. This is what I want to feature.
I mean, before I did like, the BBW records and things like that, I was into the plus size community, and, I met these people through social media, and then, they were like, yo, you want to come together and host an event? And ever since then it took off, and that was probably like 2 years ago. And at that time I didn't have the music, infused with the parties and the events and stuff like that. And then once I did that, my audience grew, and it's just been, successful ever since.
So, is that something you just decided, like, that's going to be part of my brand and my message, and that's kind of going to be where I continue to go with it? And because I know you, like I said, you have the photography, you see it as well, and being part of the community as well. Is that something that you feel like has helped you continue to grow your following and grow your music?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely grew, my whole brand. And I'll definitely continue, in the community and, merging it with my music and branding, marketing. Yeah. And it's helped. So, I can't forget about the day one help,
Oh, absolutely.
So I'm definitely going to continue doing that, different ways,
Yeah, I remember when I first ran across your IG, and I was like, you got all these BBWs. I'm like, because being a plus size woman myself is like, we'll never give recognition. So to see somebody do it, I was like, is he using us for attention? And then when I went further back, I was like, no, I think he's serious. And I was like, that's dope, because growing up and like watching hip hop videos, and I used to watch like BET Uncut and like tip drill videos, you would see like a certain type of woman. Mm-hmm. So like now to see the movement kind of change into being a BBW or being plus size or being a full figure woman, it's like it's making it okay, like accepting people for their natural bodies.
Exactly.
Like it's we're seeing plus size men clothes at Fashion Nova now, so it's kind of like. It's making it okay, like, because growing up, like, early 2000s, you had to look a particular way.
Right.
So I thought that was dope to shine some love on the plus size community.
Most definitely. That's why I'm here. You got to change the game, find your lane, and, do something different that nobody else is doing.
Right.
You hit up Lizzo yet?
Yeah, I've been trying to get her to.
I know she's down for it right now. She down for it, brother.
Oh yeah,
All I need is a little more clout, and I'll get her.
That's it. She about it. She about everything right now.
I'm gonna get her on the.
She lost me at the basketball game though, but.
Yeah.
Oh, that was hard.
I think it's just one of those situations where. It's not even knocking being a big body woman, full figure, or anything like that. There's still a certain degree of like appropriateness, whether you're slim, whether you're thick, BBW, whatever. Like, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Like being at a basketball game, you got kids there, you got families there, you got your ass out.
I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking about her bare cheeks on the chair.
Right. Yeah,
that was kind of
it was like a cover or something over it.
But it was a hole, right? From the picture I saw, it was like holes. And I'm like, I know she did not put her naked ass on that chair.
Or something, right? I didn't know it was just like cheeks out.
Because I'm all about like sanitizing. And I'm like, I did not sit on it. That's like sitting on a toilet, a public toilet.
That's all.
She passed the Rona. That's her. That's her fault.
He said that's the Rona.
Don't you don't do that on the plus size community, Marlon.
Because who was she shooting a shot at? Carl Anthony Towns?
Yup.
And his mama just passed from there too.
Oh, but that sympathy sex, huh? Go ahead, brother.
Bye, Marlon.
Bro, that's terrible.
Oh, that is terrible.
I mean,
Terrible.
okay, my bad. I take it back. I'm sorry. I apologize. I shouldn't
Next
say
question. What is the
Next question. Oh, okay. So all these trends of these rap battles, you know, you had T-Pain versus Lil Jon, and you had Scott Storch against Manny Fresh. Who do you want to see next? Who would be your ideal like battle?
I haven't really sat down and thought about it, but like, let me see. I would like to see T.I. and Ludacris. You know, that would be
both from Atlanta. Yeah, that'd be kind of good. Absolutely,
that'd be cool to see.
That would be dope.
You know, I remember like seeing Nelly back in the day. Like Nelly always had a song out like early 2000s.
He was popular.
Look, he had some hits too. Yeah. Like consistently, like every other month, every other week, whatever it was, he was putting out hits. And then, you know, I'm trying to think, you know, who was, you know, because you had the Florida rappers, you had Atlanta, you had St. Louis, you had Louisiana, New Orleans. You know, you had kind of that. Those were like the 4 cities in the South. You know, 4 states in Louisiana, Atlanta, Missouri, and Florida, or Georgia, Florida, Missouri, and Florida, where they had their very different musical styles. But it's like you had New Orleans, and you had Cash Money and No Limit, and Wayne, and BG, and Juvenile, and Master P, and, you know, Silk, and C Murder, and all the rest of them. And you talk about, you know, T.I. and Jeezy, and all the rest of those guys, Nelly, and St. Louis, and then, you know, Florida. You know, honestly, I can't even remember all the Florida rappers. I can't recall anybody off my head.
Florida?
Who was it?
Trick Daddy.
Rick Ross.
God.
Rick Ross.
Yeah.
All the kids.
Kodak.
Oh, wait. Kodak was from Florida?
Yeah, he's from Florida.
I wouldn't claim that. I wouldn't claim that.
Don't claim him.
I wouldn't claim Kodak. He on a different level.
You could claim him. It don't make Florida any worse, any better.
I was about to say, he's like the face of Florida.
That's all bad.
Crazy.
But look, we're going to take a real quick break. We'll be back in just a second with the rest of the episode and continue our interview with our special guest. We'll catch y'all in just a minute.
All right.